There's been a trend of people going on the longest and most challenging cycling races just to prove themselves. And we're not just talking about average cycling, we're talking about the length of entire continents and very rocky terrain. Are these people crazy, or should we say talented? Now, in this video, we're going to talk about 10 of the toughest cycling events so you can judge them for yourselves. Okay, at number 10, we have the Cape Epic Journey. This epic event takes place in Africa where anything and everything is possible. Along with a scenic route, you can have one of the most endurance-testing races ever. The UCI only classifies the Cape Epic, an untamed MTB stage event in South Africa, as hors catégorie. That means that it's insane. It doesn't even have a category. Given the 8 days of riding, it's simple to understand why. The 16th edition covers 624 kilometers of routes, single track, and peaks over 8 days with 16,650 meters of altitude gain from the famous ascents of Table Mountains National Park. 650 pairs of riders go on the tricky terrain as they compete side by side as pros and ambitious amateurs. This is a matter of endurance more than experience or accomplishments. Although the race has complete services, that doesn't mean it's any simpler than any other races on this list. At number 9 is the Mallorca 312. Mallorca, a Balearic island, has developed into a destination for road cyclists as a result of its ideal terrain, silky smooth roads, and strenuous ascents. Participants in the Mallorca 312 Sportive get to enjoy the best aspects of cycling on the island during a daybreak to dusk ride on restricted roads. So while their muscles may be burning, they can enjoy a scenic route to make it more bearable. The Col de Femina and Col Puig Major are among the climbs in the 2019 edition, but competitors will be relieved to know that there are no surprises later on because most of the 5,050 meters of climbing is done by the halfway point of the 312-kilometer ride. There are also somewhat shorter 225-kilometer and 167-kilometer versions available for individuals who wish to experience Mallorca's roads but can't quite handle the trip. After all, this level of difficulty isn't for everyone. At number 8, how can we forget the exclusive Dirty Kanza XL? You know what they say, go big or go home. The Dirty Kanza XL is another example of how big the Americans can go. The 350-mile gravel grinder competition, which is by invitation only, takes place in Kansas's Flint Hills. The self-supported ride, which involves more than 4,500 meters of height, must be completed in only 36 hours. A 200-mile loop across the dusty gravel tracks of Kansas prairie terrain is the Dirty Kanza 200, which is still open to those who weren't fortunate enough to get an invitation. Moving on to number 7, the Rocky Dragon Devil. With nearly 320 kilometers of cycling that incorporates mountains, exhaustion, and the erratic nature of the weather, this one-day sport in Wales puts others to shame. The road begins at Port Talbot on the south coast and leads travelers to the Brecon Beacons bumpy lanes before continuing to the mountains of central Wales. The route includes about 5,000 meters of elevation, with the worst ascent being the ominously titled Devil's Staircase. Even the name sounds like something we'd avoid at all costs. However, other climbs include the Black Mountain, Devil's Elbow, and the 10-kilometer-long Rigos. If you think the devil seems like your concept of hell, there are also 3 shorter routes available. At number 6, the Ultimate Race Across America. 4 cyclists who are smart or maybe a little crazy resolved to race across America from Santa Monica Pier in Los Angeles to the Empire State Building in New York City in 1982, and the event has since grown to be a mainstay on the ultra cyclist calendar. The current route spans 12 states and 4,800 kilometers from Oceanside, California to City Dock in Annapolis, Maryland, with 53,000 meters of climbing along the way. Did you know that's equal to 6 Mountain Everests? Teams of up to 8 people can participate time trial style, but for the enthusiasts, there's also a solo adventure with a record-breaking time of 7 days, 15 hours, and 56 minutes recorded by Christoph Strasser in 2014. We're in the top 5. Moving on to number 5, we have the Transcontinental Race. The Transcontinental Race, now in its 6th year, pits competitors against a self-supported journey across Europe. The start and end destination points as well as 4 markers they must pass through along the route are provided to the riders. The remainder is up to them. The organizers have provided a little freedom to see how creative our cyclists can get. Putting them in a challenging situation with limited rules will only spark their creativity. The next competition will see players maneuver their journey from the Black Sea in Bulgaria to Brest in France over mountain ranges in Bulgaria, Serbia, Italy, and France. The distance is approximately 4,000 kilometers, depending on how proficient you are at reading a map. If you thought this was hard enough, then imagine having to carry all your provisions with you. Along with the strenuous climbs, the weight will only make it more difficult. The hikes would be challenging enough without needing to carry 2 weeks' worth of supplies up top. At number 4, the toughest Silk Road mountain race. For hundreds of years, the Silk Road served as a vital trade route that linked the entirety of Asia with the southern axis of Europe. The Kyrgyzstan portions, gravel roads and highways from the Soviet period are now abandoned and in poor condition. Instead of giving red flags, this only sparked interest in the organizers. The Silk Red Mountain Roads organizers decided to stage a bike race there after noticing the terrain. Competitors are required to ride alone for more than 1,600 kilometers on roads without any pavement, and the only reward at the end is just finishing. Riders head till the conclusion of the race's after-party in Chulpan Ata, which is just 14 days after the start of the race, to be deemed finishers. There's only 26,000 meters of climbing to go before crossing the finish line, as if the marathon wasn't already harsh enough. Now at number 3, the Haute Route Alps. Have you always wanted to compete in the Tour de France, but held back due to the lack of assistance from a high-end team, bike, and, well, your skill? Don't worry, the Haute Route series allows you the chance to lead a professional life without having to overcome all of those annoying obstacles. The Alpine race, well known for being featured in the documentary Icarus, which won an Oscar, is now in its 9th year and spans 800 kilometers over 7 days in exhilarating competition. The peloton must climb 20,000 meters, and 2022's course offered the chance to follow in Geraint Thomas's steps by finishing on top of the famous Alpe d'Huez. Finding victory at the top of the climb was never taken in a literal sense before this race. Next up at number 2, the challenging Taiwan Combe. Some road cyclists truly like the challenge of pedaling uphill, whether it's the sadistic satisfaction of feeling the lactic acid searing in their legs or just the assurance that they will get a quick trip on the way down. But even then, you have to ask yourself whether it's really worth it. The Taiwan Combe is unquestionably one of the hardest and longest hill climbs to compete in, pushing participants over 105 kilometers of relentless ascents from sea level to an elevation of 3,275 meters. That's crazy. The worst part is saved for the final 10 kilometers, where slopes reach at a nosebleed-inducing 27.3% with a brief 5-kilometer chunk of downhill approximately 3/4 of the way in. That sounds painful. All right, finally at number 1, the Red Bull Time Lapse. In October, cyclists can participate in the longest one-day road cycling race in the world, which will feature 25 hours of crit racing. The competition puts teams of 4 against one another to see who can complete the most laps of a 6.2-kilometer track. It occurs on the weekend in the UK when the clocks go backwards, signaling the end of British summertime, hence the additional hour of racing. This race is literally the definition of going against time. Only one rider is out on the track at a time during the relay-style race, which uses a shorter circuit during the extra power hour at 2 a.m. when laps count double. Getting the proper rest and recuperation in between stints on the road is essential, since the competition is a test of endurance both on and off the bike. This means proper coordination is necessary, and the riders need to spend their rest time in the most efficient way possible before they have to hit the road again. It's safe to say that all these cycling events are crazy, but nonetheless entertaining for us. If you're someone with a bit of a daredevil spirit, then these are just right for you. Well, that's a wrap for this video. Which one of these races did you think were the craziest? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. We'll see you in the next one.